Microsoft and CrowdStrike have teamed up to make it easier to identify cyber threat groups by combining the different names that various security companies use for the same attackers. This helps reduce confusion from having too many names for one threat and one threat group so that security teams can respond faster and more effectively. While it's tough to create a single naming system, this partnership is a big step towards a clearer and more consistent threat information in cybersecurity and less confusion over whether it's a salt thing or a typhoon thing that is coming to attack you. Tom, do you get a clear idea of whether a salt is a typhoon or a typhoon is a type of salt?
It depends really on which part of the world that you're in. But I think that being assaulted by a typhoon is probably the worst thing that could happen to you, especially if you don't even know who it is or where it's coming from. And that's one of the biggest problems that we've run into as of late is this idea that everything needs a catchy name, right? And look, I get it. Like CV 2025 Alpha Baker Purple Monkey Dishwasher is not the greatest way to refer to a thing unless you're a machine. However, trying to come up with a creative name for a thing that actually talks about what it does is also kind of maddening. Like, do you know what Heartbleed does right off the top of your head? Probably not, because you have to dig into the details. And it doesn't help that if a group that did something is detected by, say, Microsoft, and then a different group, say, I don't know, Mandiant, looks and sees the same group but isn't aware of what Microsoft has discovered, they might give them a same name, which is why we get weird things like APT31 or Fancy Bear or this or that. And it creates confusion. And I'm going to pull out my nerd card here for a second to illustrate this point. If you've ever played Battletech, you are familiar with the 10-meter tall robots that run around and shoot people and do all kinds of fun stuff. And at a certain point in the lore, a group of these things showed up out of nowhere, and the people who were fighting them were fighting over who got to name them the first time. So in one particular case, one group from one country called it the Vulture, and another group from a different culture called it the Hagataka, and even the people who piloted the machine called it the Mad Dogs. You had three different names for the same thing. And if you're reading the books and you're like, okay, which one was that? Is that this one or that one? I don't know. And some of you out there who are familiar with Japanese may say, well, wait, Hakitaga is the Japanese word for vulture. Yeah, but it's still Japanese, and I'm not sure which one you're talking about there, especially when you consider that there's a Masakari and a Daishi and a whole bunch of other things. The point is that I'm throwing all of these words at you, and I could be referring to the same thing, but I could be referring to different things. And unless we know how to deal with that specific thing, we can't fight countermeasures against it. And if we have some kind of a unified model where one group or one group of people will say, okay, this is the name for this group that produced these things, and this is how you defend against them, then we can start spending more of our time solving these problems and combating these attackers than trying to give credit for who deserves to be able to name something. I mean, Lord knows we've got that problem right now. Is that mountain in Alaska Mount McKinley or Denali? The ultimate answer is who cares? It's a mountain. It should be there, and no matter what we want to call it. I tend to lean more towards the Denali crowd because that's what the people who've been there for thousands of years call it. But the point is that we need to have one authority that says this is how it's going to be, and this is the name we're going to use. I applaud Microsoft. I applaud CrowdStrike for trying this. But I will also tell them that there is another common problem in the industry, which is if you want to make a standard naming convention for something or standard anything, the easiest way to do it is to decide what you want it to be called and get enough people behind your movement so that everybody else in the industry aligns against you and creates a standard directly opposite of the one that you wanted to. You can ask Cisco how that worked out. I think ultimately, though, this is a good step forward, and here's hoping that this one can stick. Who knows?